Learn how to prevent users from adding empty tasks to the to-do list. In this lesson, we will check whether the input field is empty before creating a new task. Right now, users can click the Add Task button without typing anything. Let's look at it together. You can see I didn't type in anything. I clicked on the Add Task button and it added that empty what do I call it, input on the web page. So when that happens, it basically means that JavaScript still creates an empty listing item, which doesn't make sense. Imagine you have some typed in going for summer holiday, and you added it, and then you now add going for project defense, and you now added another empty without typing anything. Now you can see how this can affect your task. You can see how irregular and a broken user experience this is for whoever is the user that is trying to add tasks. So in this lesson, we want to look at how we can actually prevent this by first checking the input first. If it is empty, then we stop the function from running. And if it is not empty, then we allow the task to be added to our web page. Because now that our app can add tasks, we still need a way to stop users from adding empty ones. After reading the input value, then we will check if it is an empty string. So once we check, then we will use a return statement in order to stop the function immediately, in order not to trigger that empty input to be added to our other listing and on the web page. So let's look at how we can actually make use of what we already have in our code to achieve this. So if you look closely at what we have here, you can see our functions that contain a list of processes like the creating of new item, putting task inside an item, appending list item, and clearing the import box after adding an element. So we just simply want to look at another thing before we just move ahead. So we want to look at how we can actually stop this from happening if empty listing is being added into our input field. So let's look at how we can actually do that. So for now, I will come over here inside our function, and after this one, we are going to have to set up a conditional statement to check. If this contains an empty list, do this. If it contains a real input, then do this. And that is where the use of if statement comes into play. So let's put a comment and say, stop the addition if the input field is empty. So how do we do that? Well, like I said, we need a conditional statement. So the way we are going to do that is let's call on the if conditional statement and call on the task and say if this equals to empty. And how do you set empty in JavaScript? This double quotes. If this is empty, then what should happen? Just return. So that is stop execution. So let me go ahead and try this. Now look at our screen. You can see that nothing at the empty input is no longer added to my web page. And if I add again, add the task. Check this out. Add a task. Now let me try to add an empty input. You can see that it has stopped working. So we have successfully prevented empty task in our project or in our to-do list app. Now, how did we achieve that? We just basically use this return statement to stop the function immediately. So once it detects an empty input, then this return statement is going to stop our function from running immediately. And so since the function ends at that point, no listing item is created and nothing is added to the to-do list. And to confirm that, even if you inspect, then there should not be any empty listing even in the console. Now you can see if I add this, you can see that there's nothing empty that is being added to our console. For example, if I try do console.log and do let's do this. And now let me try to add an empty tag. You can see, but let me put a text, add a task. Now you can see that inside my console is showing the task that is added, but clicking on an empty input is not going to be added to our to-do list app. So this way, we have successfully done a basic validation to check if an empty input is what we have and prevent it from adding to our web page. This way, we'll be able to prevent obstructions to user experience and make our application more safe for use when the user is trying to add a task. Now, let's look at some key takeaways from this lesson. Number one, validation checks user input before processing it. Number two, if statement allow us to make decisions in JavaScript. Number three, return immediately stops a function. And lastly, empty tasks are no longer added to the to-do list.